So last video we mounted the evaporator up under the dash. This morning I put on the front condenser, and there's many ways to mount this. I do it kind of in a simple manner. Use a spacer in between the radiator and here. I carefully drill a 1/4-20 hole in there and tap it, and then just run a bolt into there. If you're going to do that, put a piece of aluminum up in between this lip here and the radiator so that the drill cannot go into the radiator. There's actually nothing up in there, but just a safeguard. And then down below, I don't know if you can, I think you can see it from the side there. There's a little bracket that I made that then goes into the holes and down through the pan. There's the bolt coming out the front here, and that just holds this nice and steady, nice and secure. I orient it so the smaller line is up on top, so the 90-degree goes down, and the hose will loop all the way over to the other hole through the radiator. And down here is the next step up, the number 8 line, which then can go through here. So that's the condenser. The compressor comes with a mounting kit. There's a top bracket which mounts to the engine with 2 bolts, and there's spacers behind there that come with it also. And they just go in there, put it on loose to begin with, and that way you can move it back and forth to mount it. And down below there's also a mount that comes with it. 2 holes into the there it is right there. 2 holes into the block also, and then there's 1 long bolt which will go through and mount the bottom of the compressor. You notice I have the belt on there already. Goes behind on the back pulley. You got to line it, do the alignment on that. It's 65 is the last number. 5040365 is the part number. That belt isn't supplied with the kit. I also laid out all the hoses, so I'm going to start with the large number 10 hose coming out of the compressor. The kit comes with the adapter that goes from the compressor to this type of hose, and you're going to note something. I put a orientation mark on all of them, and this is the low side, by the way. So this line runs all the way up the side, and I don't have it secured to the frame yet. It's just there. And the way I route it, it comes up and tucks in here behind, and then goes through the frame here with a bulkhead fitting. These do not come with the supplied kit. They're like $10 or something from Vintage Air, and they're selling them on Summit and Amazon now also. So that's what they look like here. You'll need a number 10 and a number 6 if you do it the way I do it. Bulkhead, 90-degree both of them. So then that one goes in through the frame, and you see it come in at a 90-degree and then goes up into the evaporator. in those fittings that we worked on in the last video. And that's it for the big line. That's the number 10. The next step, I'll follow the small one, the number 6. That starts with the straight fitting coming down from the evaporator. Routes back from there, makes a turn, goes up and over, and then goes to that bulkhead fitting, that 90-degree bulkhead fitting up there. Comes out right there, the bulkhead. Note again, I've got the orientation lines on all of them. This is where the trinary switch is going to go. This just unscrews and the trinary switch will go right on there. That's the switch that senses pressure. If it gets too high, it'll shut down the compressor. If it gets too low, it won't allow the compressor to come on either. So this continues, goes into the supplied canister here. There's an orientation, and unfortunately I put the bracket on the orientation line, but there's an in and an out. Oh, it actually says it. So this is in. In is coming in from the front, the evaporator. Not the evaporator, sorry. The condenser. And that line will come out or continue along here, down along the bottom of the radiator, up through the access hole, back out, and into the condenser on the top. So that's the route of the number 6 line. The number 8, go back to the compressor. And this is the high side, so this is the line that's carrying the pressure up from the compressor. So the number 8 starts at the compressor, runs down along the frame, and they supply enough hose that you can do it in a hose line. I switch it over to the solid line. You bend them. Vintage Air sells them. They sell them through Summit also. I do this just for space conservation up here because if you get 2 big hoses up in here, then you got to make a much bigger cutout in the body, and then you run the risk of the tire rubbing. So they're pretty easy to bend. You can do it by hand, or you can use the bending tool. And I just route it along underneath the lower control arm, up in front of the radiator. And you notice that I didn't finish it because I had to order some more. Don't try to do this in one run. You'll never get it to, if you do it the solid line, you'll never get it to bend through or wrap around and get it right through there. I do it in a 1 foot and then a 3 foot. So that ends up working out. So that's the whole routing of the AC system. So starting back in the compressor, it compresses the refrigerant, sends it through the number 8 all the way up to the front condenser, which is the radiator type deal up here. Comes into here, runs through the condenser, cools it, and then sends it out through the number 6 line. Still high pressure, and routes it through the canister, which is going to get any excess oil, debris, moisture drop out. Comes up through the trinary. The trinary is going to check it to make sure it's got enough pressure or not too much. Comes in, goes to the evaporator, then it does that, sprays it, kind of like propane tank, when you run your grill on a really hot, humid day, you can actually get, because of the way it's going from compress to lessening the pressure, it can actually freeze the moisture on the outside of the can. It's basically a real basic thing of how the AC system works. So it goes through that, up in the evaporator, then comes out into the number 10, and then that routes back to the compressor, and the whole system starts again. Next step will be to run the heater hoses, which are more plumbing to do.